All right, this is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick, what's going on, sir?
Well, John, it's just another business as usual week out here. It's like like the weather. It's like weather's fine. It's like weather's not nuts. It's like and like I've got like an insane amount of comics that are like hitting my way. Like one shipment got sent out over here today, courtesy of the right stuff, and I've got like lots of other stuff like en route from courtesy to Amazon and cheap graphic novels. So no shortage of stuff to talk about and review. It's like as things were
Oh,
getting scarce last year.
and you're going to talk about what tonight?
Well, tonight I'm going to talk about something that I actually picked up during the last, not quite the last round of Amazon buy two get one free sales. And that was that. This is well, I guess it's time to talk about Taiyo Matsumoto. He's a he's a creator who has been around for a good long while, both in terms of his U.S. presence and especially in Japan. He's someone who has like been highly regarded by the comics literati as a very important creator, someone who puts out work that is like both challenging and inspiring. It's like and stuff that like really makes your life better once you read it. Stuff that will like break your heart if you can like get on its wavelength. He's a creator that I have never fully been able to get into because the first thing that we got over here from him was a series called Black and White, otherwise known as Tech on Kincrete. Basically, it was about these two kids, Black and White. Black is like like is cynical and straightforward minded, and White is just like all like touchy feely. It's like goofiness, like innocence and all. And like they're and the series follows them as they try to protect their it's like their home city of Treasure Town from the forces of gentrification, yakuza, and also just it's like an outside forces who want to remake it in their own image. This is a series that a lot of people like really like and was reissued as a it's like as a flipped 3-in-1 like volume like 3-in-1 volume several years back that after I reread it in preparation for talking about the series I'm going to talk about in a second. But it's just I just it's just something that just doesn't quite that never quite grabbed me in the way that it did all the people who talked about it. It's like I think that there's one guy, Dirk Deppy, who used to write for the Comics Journal .com, who just kind of pegged it as this is basically Naruto for the art house set. And you know what? I think he's right. I think that it's basically a shonen series that basically has has a much more like that rather than just like focusing on like the fights and the style. Like it's more about poetry. It's like poetry and abstractness, and just like like trying to phrase things in a way that like tries to get it that tries to get at your heart. It's like it's like in abstract it's in abstract ways like that don't like involve like beating the crap out of a guy and showing them how clever you are. Um, but in the end though, it's like Matsumoto's style just kind of feels like just really it's like elliptical and it never really grabbed me. It's like to give you an example, like when I was a major in creative writing, my major was fiction, not poetry. Because poetry was just kind of like I felt was just kind of like a mugs game. It's like it's not something that I could really that I could fully get into. It's something that I mean sometimes like there's can be some fun poetry, but a lot of it is just kind of feels like okay, it's like you either get it, it's like and it's fun, or you don't, and it's just you're kind of like, and it has to be explained to you just how this works, and that's kind of how I felt about Matsumoto's style overall. Like it's not something that appealed, that really like that really grabbed me. It's like, but at the same time though, everyone like on this side of the ocean just kind of like kept going on about how great he was to the point where subsequent his subsequent series like number five, Go Go Monster, Sunny, and Cats of the Louvre, like were also brought out over here as well. It's like to great acclaim as well. In fact, Cats of the Louvre shared the Eisner Award last year with Witch Hat Atelier. I I did go and read Cats of the Louvre because I'm a cat person, and in the hope that okay, well, maybe this will be the Matsumoto work that really gets me. Kinda did, but it's like I admit, like it's more because I'm a cat person rather than just like a more a fan of his style. I didn't really appreciate the fact that it wasn't really about just cats. Like he just had okay, so now he's gonna have like anthropomorphic representations of cats, like in telling his story. The ending almost kind of got me. It's like in terms of like it's like his approach to like doing a really abstract interpretation of like what had happened to the missing girl, but in the end, it wasn't enough to convince me that okay, I need to get on the Matsumoto train now, which is a very very roundabout way at this point of basically bringing us to Ping Pong. Ping Pong is apparently his most successful series, some not just in print but also in alternate media. This is the series was adapted into a hugely successful movie. It's like in the aughts, and also a well regarded anime series in the it's like in the mid teens as well. Basically, it's basically what happens when Matsumoto decides to fuse his like his abstract poetic style with a it's like with a grounded specific mainstream genre. Basically, this is a sports manga. It's like no, ping pong isn't a metaphor. This is actually a series about guys playing table tennis like over the course of its 4 volumes. And and actually it's like it's even shorter than that. Well, more condensed than that out here in the U.S. release because we're getting like these 4 volumes were condensed into two-in-one editions. So basically, you get two thick $30 collected editions, which is actually really really short when you consider like how long most sports manga tend to run. I mean like Slam Dunk, like my pick for like my like sports manga that I've physically like and financially invested in ran for over 30 volumes, and others like there are other series like Haikyuu that are like that are pushing like more than 20 volumes or maybe even 30 at this point. So like when I'm saying like some more sports volumes, they series like well they're also Shonen Jump titles and they're gonna like tend to run for a while. But Ping Pong right off the bat gets some points for being like okay we're just gonna condense all that Shonen manga stuff it's like into 4 volumes. And the short version is that I think this is probably the Taiyo Matsumoto manga that I like the most. So what does that mean? Well, this is a series about two maybe about two guys, Yutaka Hoshino and Makoto Tsukimoto. Um, Hoshino is basically is a guy who he's like loudmouth, brash, arrogant. It's like and really good at ping pong. It's like he's also the kind of guy who's not afraid to let you know that hey, I'm good at this. His friend it's like his friend Tsukimoto, who also goes by the nickname of Smile. It's like because he's only smiled like once in his life, and it's like and he also plays ping pong as well, but he just kind of like does it as a way to just like interact with his friend Hoshino, who also goes by the nickname of Peko. And when the series starts, it's like that's where they are. It's like Peko is the hot shot, and Smile is just it's just like doing this like as a way. It's like because this guy's his friend. It's like and this is someone who one of the only people he's been able to really interact with because Smile is like a really it's like stoic, unemotional kid, someone who's been teased a lot. But Pecco, doesn't go in for that. He's someone who's stuck up for Smile a lot of times over it's like over the years. And these two are pretty tight as the beginning of the series makes it clear. But it also makes clear that that Tsukimoto may have more skill than he's letting on. That he may have just that every time that he plays Hoshino or Peko, that he's just kind of holding back, just playing enough to give his friend a challenge and nothing more. And it's like and that's kind of like and that's basically what that's basically kind of goes into the crux of this series because like there's one character, a former great ping pong player, Joe Koizumi, who finally knows about come to know as Butterfly Joe. Well, he coaches the table tennis team that Pecco and Smile are part of, and it's like in their high school. And eventually, Joe notices that Smile, well, he's actually got some pretty good skills. He's just been holding back because he doesn't actually believe in the ugliness of the sport. Like basically the idea that hey, it's like in order for me to win, you have to lose. It's like just the idea that 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 he's going to that you have to you will have to to cause someone to lose. Someone who's played their heart out, someone who's like trained their best to get where they are, and you've got to shut their ass down in the end if you want to win. And that's kind of like the conflict that kind of like that drew me in for for the first volume because a lot of time it's just like it's a lot of sports like slam dunk at least like this is my basis of comparison here. There's always the question of who's gonna win and how are they gonna win. And but in the end, it also like dealt with like a lot of the psychology about like who's got the momentum. It's like, in the end, that's kind of what it comes down to. But with ping pong, it's all about like what happens when your protagonist doesn't have the will to win. What happens when like he doesn't want to like destroy the other person or even like proclaim himself to be like a good player for lack of a better term. And that's kind of what Joe wants to do with Smile. He wants to train him to be someone to bring out that killer instinct, to bring in desire to win. It's like and dominate his opponent. Like basically be as good as he as Smile can be. Just that the catch is that kind of like involves like Smile just like becoming kind of a monster like in the sport, just like dominating like becoming just basically like all the things that he had worried about. And where does Pecco come in all this? Well, Pecco's like the kid who's kind of hasn't really had to work for a whole lot. It's like he has a lot of natural talent, and yeah, he's got the will to win. But the thing is, like well, what happens when this this casual, hey, I'm good, I'm good at this, um, gets gets beaten. What happens when the it's like the fly ass player from China beats this kid's ass down in like an inter high tournament? Well, how does he deal with this? Does he deal with it by by suddenly stopping playing, taking up smoking, and like becoming a hustler in the arcades? Well, that's kind of like that's where where the series like goes and like in its like over the course of its four volumes. It's just like how does one guy deal with the fact that his route for dominance basically involves him like just just like shutting down everyone in front of him, and how does the other guy, one who's like basically like had like no problems like dominating everyone else, deal with failure? That's kind of like that's kind of like the appeal of the storytelling that I had with ping pong, even though it's like I gotta admit that it a lot of this a lot of the storytelling did kind of feel that it was more like appealing to my head than it was to my heart. It's like I can get the ideas it's like the ideals that Matsumoto was shooting for here. Even it's like even though it's like there are precious few moments like early on that really like got me like fully invested in the matches that were going on, and there are some there are some good characters like to help pick up the slack. I mean, it's not just Pickle and Smile that are just like duking out here. I mean, Butterfly Joe. It's like learning about his tragedy was interesting, and so and also just like getting to know some of the opponents that they'll face, like Wingate, it's like Wingate Kong, the Chinese like star player who was brought over here to help prop up one school's team, but kind of feels that okay, well, what happens like if he loses? What's this going to do to his stature? And then there are the players from Neptune or Kaio Academy. It's like there's Ryuichi Kazama. It's like the bald-headed, bald-eyed guy who believes that power is like the great is like the one way to like to win in these matches. And there's also like a Manabu Sakuma, also known as Demon, like a longtime nemesis of Peko, who doesn't really have a lot of natural talent, but he uh but he is that guy who will train the living hell out of himself in order to show that he's got what it takes. And when he finally gets his chance against it's like Peko, it's like in the first inter high tournament. Well, things don't quite go the way you'd expect, but it's interesting to see like like the grace that Matsumoto affords a guy like Demon, a guy who's all like slant-eyed and all slant-eyed like intimidation and smarm and smug when he fights against Peko, but he's also willing to wade out into the ocean when Peko just like starts like going off on a flight of fancy in the second volume, and we realize that he's gonna drown if I don't save him. God damn it! It's annoying little shit. So yeah, that's it's like so there's a good solid cast propping up these main characters and the idea of just what does it take to be a good ping pong player, and can you do it without just like without like destroying another person's dreams like along the way. I guess without spoiling too much, in the end, it's revealed that Tsukimoto doesn't have that, doesn't have the like that kind of ability, but Peko does, and that's kind of cool. It's like, I mean, even though it's like I said, a lot of this like kind of just kind of like hits on my head. It's like like I'm engaging this on like a purely mental or analytical level rather than just like an emotional one early on. And I think that kind of comes down to Matsumoto's style. I mean, he's got a like exaggerated um length, it's like lanky, long line style that it's like it's different, but I don't know, it's not something that I've really felt has been like, oh man, it's kind of like, oh man, I love this kind of difference. It's just like it's different, but which helps it stand out, but doesn't really like engage me like for on a whole like on a in a really coherent way, except in certain points when it's like when he's trying to aim for something on a more metaphysical level, and it kind of then it kind of works because when he's trying in like the final matches, like especially when those final rounds between Peko and Dragon, it's like those it's like his style. It's like like kind of like goes into like a more abstract like negative space it's like realm where it's like it's just the two of them, and Peko says like I'm gonna fly, and then and Kazama or Dragon basically like he said I'm gonna shut you down, you ragamuffin. Yeah, he says ragamuffin really, and he but then he actually sees it. It's like, and it's kind of like he's watching him, like he's watching him fight, and he asks, and at the end, I guess, can you like when it comes to match point in Peko's favor, it's like, can you take me there again? It's like, and that kind of, I think that kind of works, but it's not like something that's done consistently over the course of the series. So when it's like because when Matsumoto's like style hit synchronizes with what the with the poetic aspect of what he's trying to tell, it's magic. But it's not like consistently magic throughout the course of the series, and that's disappointing. And it's like I guess if the series had done that like more, it's like I probably would have like maybe this is like I'd probably like go and say, hey, like now I get Taiyo Matsumoto, but I don't know. It's like I guess it's like I can just keep waiting and just like picking and choosing his series that I buy. Like if it's gonna be something that either has something specifically that appeals to me, like Cats, or gets like unanimous like critical acclaim, like Ping Pong, then I can check it out. Because I will also say that Ping Pong does kind of have a ending that's kind of like, yeah, you know what, I needed more. I wanted like more about what was going on here, especially with what happened to Kazama. It's like at the end as well. But overall, it's like if I was gonna like say, hey, like if someone's actually like, well, hey, Jason, I hear that this Matsumoto guy is supposed to be really good. Like, what should I read from him? And I think I would go ahead and tell him, go and read Ping Pong. It's not your usual sports manga, but I think it's a good, different like example of the form. It's like, and it condenses a lot of the stuff that you that you're used to seeing like in sports manga over like 10 or 20 or even 30 volumes into a nice compact like 4 volume or like two in one edition like series. So it's good, it's different, but as far as but if your like experience of like sports manga comes from Slam Dunk or Haikyuu, it's like or Yowamushi Pedal or like series like that, well, or even Prince of Tennis, well, Ping Pong is absolutely not like that at all. But it's a series that asks different questions about what it takes to be good at your sport, and it's like and I appreciated that. And there are points when, and I think the points when the art, like when the storytelling and the art fully sync up, like are really great. Good, not for everyone, but probably like the Tai Matsumoto series that I would recommend to everyone else, as opposed to Tech on Concrete, which once again is really just like Naruto for the art house set. Thank you, Mr. Deppy. So, John, any thoughts from your end about any of this?
Well, I do like some sports manga and anime, so and I think
Yeah, you got to give specifics now after you said that.
well, okay, so Hajime no Ippo.
Okay, it's boxing.
Yeah, it's boxing. One of the things I enjoyed about that is its progression of the character in his, and not only like, you know, learning to become better, but I also liked it, because of how it affected his outside relationships as well. And I think that that's I don't know if that's key or cornerstone to sports manga and anime, but I enjoy that element. And if there's more there, then I don't care if it's badminton or water polo. I think it's cool because you know there has been, and just speaking domestically, there's movies and novels, written about sports. Oh, I think that there was one even with American football. Was it I Shield 21? I think.
Yes, by Yusuke Murata, who went on to illustrate One Punch Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fascinating, to see that that there's this this whole thing, and it can be, and the stories can, and these interpersonal relationships that revolve around it, can be spun in many different ways. So and so ping pong, it's like, okay, I haven't heard of anything like that. But speaking domestically, which is what I was talking about before, you have things like Rudy, and you get all of these other things,
Mm-hmm.
maybe A League of Their Own, which is an older, baseball movie, but it's kind of like, I find it fascinating, and I couldn't tell you, because of Marvel Madness and the MCU kind of dominating a lot of the action movies. I can't really pinpoint any movies domestically here that kind of reflect anything like that. To me, it's a very unique take on, like sports. So, I kind of like those things. What's there's like at least two or three basketball based ones. Slam Dunk, I think, is one.
Yeah, Slam Dunk is one, like Kuroko's Basket. I know that Myron likes that series.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it's like, I think there's one for volleyball too. But anyway,
That's Haikyuu.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's and people, and here's the challenge to the listeners. It's, if you've never read or watched an anime or manga that's sports based, give it a try. I think that you'll really enjoy, as long as the stories are well. I think, and this one sounds like it. Give it a try. You might really like it. It just sounds, when I first heard about sports anime, I'm like, really? Is this a thing, or sports manga? Okay, it is, and it's a fairly popular one at that. So those are my comments, pretty much, that I have for this one. So, what do you say?
I think that like Slam Dunk is still kind of like my favorite sports manga, in the sense that I just like it tells like lot. It does a good job. Like once you get past like its character being like its main character being really annoying, it's like, and you realize that about like the whole point of it is about like point of the games is like focusing on like who's got the momentum, and just just like the shattering expectations about what what our main character is supposed to do here. It's like it's really engaging, and it does, and also like it's fun to see like how he dives into each game, like he's showing each game on like a specific level, to the point where like there's a lot of struggle like in each game. It says it's never like about like like the one side completely dominating the other. It's like it's like and he's got, and like I said, the final game of that series like runs for 7 volumes, and this may sound like, oh man, 7 volumes on one basketball game sounds like torture. It's like, no, well, okay, it was kind of frustrating reading it like every 2 months when it's being serialized, but reading it when you read it all in one go, it's like it plays out incredibly well, because you're just like burning through each volume, because you just, oh, I gotta know what happens next. It's like things are changing. I mean, it's just like it may seem like it's a glacial pace, but no, like there's just like he just crams so much into there. Like Takigo Inoue does cram so much into there that it's just like he takes advantage of all the space that he was afforded to do that. And again, like that is not ping pong at all. Ping pong is much more of a it takes a much more like global, like long view. It's like for its characters, and like their arcs. And I think that's not a bad thing. I mean, on one hand, it's like it's kind of impressive that he was able like to condense like these characters, these stories, and make them play out as well as they did over the course of 4 volumes. Like, because like I mean, it's like what do we have time to read more in our current lives? One 4 volume series, or one 31 volume series.
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah,
yep.
but I think that like I like Slam Dunk more, but I do think Ping Pong was very much worth my time. And hey, it's like, I guess if Matsumoto decides to go back to the sports manga well at some point, I guess I would make an effort to be in on the floor for that, as opposed to just waiting to buy like the first volume in a Amazon buy two get one free sale.
Yep. So, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Well, it's like the way time works on these things. I can tell you that the not the next time, but the time after that, I'll be talking about another sports series, one that also has it's like its ups and downs. It's all under Megaru. But before that, though, well, I'm going to be talking about the entirety of Gideon Falls by Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino, because the hell with, I'm not going to buy like a single volume, like a single issue trade paperback to find out how it ends. No, I'm just going to buy the final issue from Comixology, and then let you know whether or not this series is going to like remain on my shelf. It probably will because Sorrentino's art is really great. But man, I think I might be done with Lemire after this. So there you go.
All right, we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Clip.
All right, laters.